Hello everyone and welcome to Tyrik on the Move.
Now here's the host of Tyrik on the Move, Mr. Tilik Wynn.
What's up everybody and welcome to this amazing episode of Tyrik on the Move. I am your host Tilik Wynn and today is Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all of the dads out there. And as you can see, I'm not alone on this episode. On this episode, I have Tilik Wynn, my dad, the one and only. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today and being my co-host.
Thank you, son, for having me.
Absolutely. So today is Father's Day, obviously. Can you tell the people out there, tell the dads out there, give them some advice on how to be a good father? What are some of the qualities you have to have?
Well, the thing is about being a good father, you just got to be well-rounded. Surround yourself by other good men in the community. Being able to share different ways to embrace your kids. The good thing about being a father, I like to give you various tools and stuff to use, such as cooking, cleaning, washing, taking care of your car, the maintenance on your vehicle. I like to just try to be well rounded. And when you go out on the dating market, your variety will be broad. And just teaching you, financing, teach you how to be a businessman, teach you how to dress, teach you how to groom yourself. Being a father and being a man in the household and setting the tone is so valuable. And I think it's very, very important that you teach your children these things. A lot of times they want to put a lot of this on the mothers, but being able to have that man in the household, just showing them this is how we do things, this is how it is. It's okay to do this, it's okay to do that, but let's stay away from this. And so those are the type of things that I try to practice as being a father.
Yeah, those are really important qualities. I mean, it's very important to be well-rounded because it's not just a woman thing. When you get married, it's a together thing. It's a both thing. It's a relationship thing. It's not just the lady doing all the cooking and cleaning. It's important that the guy knows these good qualities too. And I really do appreciate you and mom teaching me these awesome qualities, and I know how to do much stuff, and my dates go a lot better. So, yeah, that's a really awesome thing. You did mention qualities that you taught me, like cooking and cleaning, but I have to say it. Your hair.
Right.
One day you taught me how to get waves, and I didn't want to listen to you. Tell everybody what happened during that story. Tell everybody those details.
Well, one day my son came home and he wanted to get waves, and I said, son, you want me to teach you how to get waves? And he chuckled a little bit and yeah, Dad, tell me how to get waves. And I shared with him that go to the barber, get your hair cut, let the barber know what type of style you want, just get wave grease, brush, do rag, and the practice. You want to be hard headed and you want to do things your way, and he didn't go get a haircut. He bought the do rag and put it on, and he came downstairs and slowly peeled it back, and it looked like a disaster. Then after that, he wanted to listen. And I asked him, I said, son, why didn't you listen to me? And he said, Dad, you don't have any hair. I said, that don't mean I don't know what I'm talking about. I said, boy, I used to have waves in my mustache. Boy, I used to have waves in my beard. So now look at it.
They in there now. I mean, and it's just things like that. I mean, things like that. Like, even though people may not look like they know what they're talking about, but they know what they're talking about, because I didn't know what I was talking about. I was fresh in the wave game, fresh in the hair game, and look at me. So yeah, now I'm working on. But we have a very special guest this week.
And before you do that, can I share one more thing?
Oh yeah, sure, go ahead.
I also want to challenge the dads in the household. This is one thing that I was guilty of, and some older brothers and gentlemen shared this with me. A lot of times you got social media, you got TV, you got a lot of different things that take your attention when you're in the household. But I challenge you to make sure it's your responsibility to engage with the family. Your wife might be downstairs watching her favorite show. Your son or daughter might be on the phone or on the computer or various things, and dad might be doing this thing. And you thinking just because you're in the household you engaging, but that's not always the case. You think you spending quality time because you're physically there, but go a step further and get the family together and play a family game or cards or talk about what's going on and just what's going on in the world and what's going on in our life and what's going on the job and being able to build that. I think that's very, very important, and it would definitely be a game changer.
Yeah, that's awesome. Many dads are in the house. They say, hey, I'm in the house with my child. I'm not away from him. But, the big question is, are you engaging? Are you talking to him? Are you taking them out? Are you guys going on vacation? Are you guys playing games? I mean, there's so many things that you can do just being in the house. I mean, that's not enough. You definitely need to be engaging with your child. So that's some really good, powerful information. And I'm glad you hit on that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so this week we have a good one for you. We have a very special guest that is coming on Tyrik on the Move, and his name is the one and only Frank Ski from the People Station, V-103, the ATL's #1 for hip-hop and R&B. Shout out to him, Nina Brown, and V-103 for helping set up this interview. You all take a look. This one was very powerful. What's going on, everybody? I'm sitting down with the one and only Frank Ski from the People Station, V-103. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. You sound like you're supposed to be on the radio with me.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I will come on there anytime.
How about that? No doubt, no doubt.
Yeah, so tell me, you've been in the radio industry for a long time. Did you always know that this was your calling?
I didn't. I honestly did not know it was my calling. It's funny how, God will put a dream in you and set you up in certain places, and if you follow, his principles and what he says about dreams, then you'll find yourself where you're supposed to be. It's interesting, like God kind of like sets you up in life. You learn things, you're around certain people, and then all of a sudden it just magically comes together, right?
Yeah.
But God knew all along. So it wasn't, I didn't know I would be in radio. I had no clue. As a teenager, I had visited radio stations before and had no interest in being on the radio whatsoever. That was not my interest. But one thing led to another, and here I am some 30 years later.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So, first you was a rapper first, and then you got, how was that transition?
Yeah, dude. When I was younger, I had an uncle that owned a very famous, he was part owner in a very famous nightclub in New York called Harlem World.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going there for the summers because I grew up in South Florida, but would be in New York all summer. And it was like a treat to go to Harlem World to see the rappers. So, of course, like any teenager, when I got home to Miami, I, called myself a rapper.
Right.
But it wasn't hard to do because at the time, nobody else in Miami was rapping. So we kind of took a lead on it. And that's how I got into the rap side of it. And then eventually back then it was rapping, DJing, and breakdancing.
Okay.
So we had a breakdancing crew, a DJ crew, rappers. We had the whole group. And I was approached by someone who owned a college radio station at the University of D.C., where I was a student, and he asked me if I would, come on the air with him and do a radio show. And
oh, cool.
That's there it is.
All right, that's hot. So let me ask you, you still got it? You can bust some moves, spit some bars?
I was never the dancer, dude. I have like no rhythm. I was all, instead of being the dancer, I took the role as the manager. So,
Okay.
I basically had the not necessarily the connects, but I had the experience. So I was probably the one of the most experienced people in the crew. And so everybody just followed suit.
Cool. All right, sounds good to me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so you got the Frank Ski Kids Foundation, and tell me, how did this foundation come about, and what inspired you to create this?
It's very interesting. In radio, we were always taught to be servers and to serve people. So we would always do nonprofits. One of the things that I was always interested in was youth and youth sports. And I was one of those kids growing up that my dad did not have the money to afford me to be able to play youth sports. So, but I was lucky enough to grow up in South Florida where every neighborhood had a park. So when it was football season, we went out and played football every day. Basketball season, same. Baseball season, same. Soccer, same. But I would always, when I got into radio, and I started my radio career in the Northeast, is that we still had that spirit of service, so we would go do this. And I always found myself donating money to these youth sports teams. And I wanted to figure out a way that I could raise more money using my influence and then be able to give that money back. That's how the foundation was started. So at the time, my ex-wife and I decided we would make a foundation, because I didn't know. We'd make a foundation. I would go to my friends, ask for money, and then turn around and give the money out. And that's how the foundation was started.
Wow, it's a pretty powerful story.
I think a lot of people think that sometimes like giving is giving personally, like what you have. Giving comes in all different forms. Giving could be in helping and working and volunteering. Giving can also be in using your influence to help raise money to give to someone else. So the Frank Ski Kids Foundation doesn't give away my personal money, but I give my personal time to raise money, so that other people can donate, and then that money is funneled into the programs that we do.
Cool. Yeah, because time can be way more valuable than money sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if
absolutely.
You put in the time, then the money will come.
Yep, absolutely.
So let's talk about this Belize thing you got going on.
Yeah.
So, and tomorrow you also got something going on at the aquarium. So so you got 20 finalists, but you can only pick 10. So tell me, how is this thing playing out?
It's very interesting. We believe in exposing kids to their future. So whether it's science, technology, art, and athletics, we expose young minds to what the future can hold, right? So in order for the way this competition came up was, how do we pick the kids that would go on a trip that would be so incredible that you can't take 100 kids?
Yeah.
That would be so incredible that 99.9999% of kids would never go. That would be so incredible that you can go your entire academic career. You can go to high school, you go to college, and you go to grad school, and not one of your teachers has ever been to where you've been. That's how exclusive the trips are.
Okay.
And how would we pick those kids? And what would the end result be? So for us, the end result is picking student leaders that can then come back and influence and make change in their communities. So many of the kids that have won these trips have come back and become student government presidents, have started their own nonprofits, have led marches, have used their voice for positive change. Our big thing with what we're doing now is in the environment. So dealing with climate change and global warming. And so we're decided that, one of the things that are affected most and people don't realize by global warming is in the ocean. And when you realize 2/3 of the world is covered with water, if that is being affected most, how is it being affected and to what detriment, and then how can we fix it? So in order to be able to do that, any kid can write that essay, right?
Yeah.
Any kid can go online, can research climate change, global warming, the oceans, and they can find the information. But what kids could make the change? And here's the other thing. How do you make the change, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I get on the street and I say, hey, pollution is killing our oceans, but I've never been, I don't sound like I have too much credibility,
Yeah.
right?
Actually.
So teachers are really good at teaching subjects like that. You have teachers that can teach history,
Yeah.
and they can teach it well. They can tell you about the great pyramids of Egypt, but how many teachers have ever been in the pyramids in Egypt? You see, when you have a teacher that's been there, the way they teach it is very different from a teacher that's reading it or seeing it. So with the Kids Foundation, these kids are going to not only learn about it with the help of our sponsors and Georgia Aquarium, but they're going to be scuba certified, and they're going to go underwater, and they're going to see it.
Yeah.
So they'll see it. So they'll see coral bleaching. They'll see places that was abundant underwater life that is now scarce. They'll be able to see what has happened in different places and why. So they'll be able to articulate it much better.
That is cool. I ain't never even thought about it like that. But I mean, that's kind of like how it is. You're gonna have more credibility if you've been in there, if you've experienced it. You're gonna be able to do that. So yeah, that's
absolutely.
Cool. And then the foundation. I mean, with what you're doing and taking these kids out there, you're creating leaders. Since you said you've had presidents, for student government, also had people lead marches and stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a good thing, and for the kids, for the young people, what we've seen is it changes their lives.
Mm-hmm.
We have kids in our program that might have been like myself. I was a C student, and I could have been an A student. I really could have been, but I was a C student. But I really wasn't interested in that. My mind was in too many different places, like many of our kids, right?
Yeah.
But when you find a kid that finds something they love in an area that is sought after, science, biology, there's so many different fingers that going to these trips takes you, where we have kids that will come off of this trip and be able to write about this trip in their college essays and have been accepted to the best universities in the world and have studied all over the world, from Cambridge to Harvard. Like, these kids they're it. And not all of them started as the it kid. Mm-hmm. Some of them, you see the parents helped them and got it together. Some of them, these kids are like on their own. They don't have the parental support and nobody in their corner. But what happens is when they get into this contest, they become part of a fraternity of kids that now they have a collection of people that care about them, and they look and they understand that academics is important.
Okay. So now, for somebody listening out there, maybe you have a child, or maybe you have a parent that wants to get their child in this, how can they get involved?
Well, we do this contest once a year. We do it in May every year. They can apply, and they can write the essay online. Interesting enough is that not every kid is going to win. But we've had kids that have tried twice and have won on their third time. The key is to start early, and the key is to see how these kids at this event present their speeches, and then be able to improve later. But here's the key. So watch this. So you don't win the Frank Ski Kids Foundation competition, but now you've been there and you've seen the best of the best do it. So now you know what you have to do. Mm-hmm. Now you know, okay, you know what? My poster wasn't right. My presentation wasn't right. My order wasn't right. My inflection on my speech wasn't right. I didn't answer the question because I wasn't prepared, right? Okay, so you didn't win the Frank Ski Kids Foundation. But then Coca-Cola does a competition. And now you're ready.
Yeah.
And now you win Coca-Cola's competition and you get $10,000 for your college education. That sounds like a win to me. You know what I mean? So you don't necessarily have to win this, but it's all in preparation. So every kid that gets in this, you know, they get the examples of what excellence really is.
Cool. Yeah. Sounds good to
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
So speaking of kids, is there, something going on right now? The Atlanta child murders.
Mhm.
And the other day, you were actually on Dr. Oz. I had a chance to watch a little clip of that interview. So kind of talk about, because you're the chairperson for it, and you and Miss Bottoms, the mayor
Yeah.
of Atlanta, are working on this. So talk about kind of some of the things you guys are working on. What are you guys doing? And then also talk about that experience you had on Dr. Oz.
Wow, son, you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned and hear Frank Ski answer when we come back.
What's up, everybody? I'm Tilik Wynn, the host of Tyrik on the Move. And as some of you know, I've been doing this show for almost 3 years now on YouTube and other social media platforms. But now I am looking to move to television. Yes, I said it, television. So now I am calling all television networks out there to seek this show. If you guys are seeking new content in the season, please check out our show, Tyrik on the Move. Just go to my YouTube channel and check out the Tyrik on the Move reel to see what we're all about.
Hi, we're Wynn Productions LLC, and we're the producers of the great show, Tyrik on the Move. But we also
Film and edit commercials.
And if you would like Tyrik Wynn, the host of Tyrik on the Move, to host your next event, make sure you contact us at
WinProductionsLLC@gmail.com.
And make sure you visit our website, winproductionsllc.com.
And remember, when you use Wynn Productions LLC, it's a
Win-win situation. Hey everybody, I'm Tyrik Wynn, the host of the awesome show, Tyrik on the Move. Do you want to be featured on the show and you have a business out there? Well then come on the show, Tyrik on the Move. If you would like to come on the show, just send an email to winproductionsllc@gmail.com and we'll come to your location. Also, you have an event coming up? Well then, hey, you're going to need coverage of it. Just send an email to winproductionsllc@gmail.com to apply for coverage of your event. Also, make sure you watch Tyrik on the Move every week.
So speaking of kids, is there, something going on right now? The Atlanta child murders.
Mhm.
And the other day, you were actually on Dr. Oz. I had a chance to watch a little clip of that interview. So kind of talk about, because you're the chairperson for it, and you and Miss Bottoms, the mayor of Atlanta, are working on this. So talk about kind of some of the things you guys are working on. What are you guys doing? And then also talk about that experience you had on Dr. Oz.
I will tell you this. Many years ago, back in 2004, the convicted person, Wayne Williams, reached out to me and was writing me letters and wanted me to go to the jail to do an interview with him. So there are a lot of people that could have gone into the jail and done this interview. But Wayne wanted someone to come in to let him tell his side of the story and let the listeners or viewers see his side of the story. So I am a journalist on the radio. As a host, my job is not to fact check guests, not to say, oh, you lying, not to be the shock jock. What I do is I will interview people, challenge them, let them give their answers, and let the educated listeners make their own decision. And that's how it basically started. But when I went to the jail, I realized there were a lot of inconsistencies that I was seeing as an adult. But more importantly, I realized that there were a lot of broken lives that had been changed because of this tragedy. And those broken lives have never been even attempted to be fixed. So you had family members that lost a child and their case was never investigated. You had family members whose kids never came home and they're still not found. You had family members that their kids were their kids were found, they were murdered, but nobody ever said, I'm sorry. So that became part of my interest, is in how could I help that situation. And thank God that Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms thought the same thing and created a task force that would go out now and try to figure out what kind of memorial could be created for these children? Is it going to be a park? Is it going to be a wall? Is it going to be a statue? What is it going to be that is going to remember the lives of these children that for no fault of their own were murdered, and that had they lived, they could have been me or you. You get what I'm saying? And that is what we plan on doing, and that is why it's so important.
Okay. Wow. So, like when you talk about something, this tragic situation that happened, I mean, like, what are some of the things that were going through your head, and why do you feel like that you are the right person and Miss Lance Bottoms was the right person to step in and get this memorial done?
One, I have kids, so I get it.
Yeah.
I haven't lost a child. I can only imagine the pain of that, but I know if I would have lost any of my sons at the age of 10, I wouldn't be any good. I wouldn't be able to really continue. I don't think I would be able to. That's how much I love my children. I think also is that God has put me in a position to be on V-103, which affords me a listening audience of about 1 million people. So if you want to make change, if you want to make a statement, if you want to help, this is the place to do it. And I think that Mayor Bottoms has put together an incredible group of people who any one of them could have been the chair of this committee to be able to do this. And she has put people on there, parents of children that were murdered, family members, people that were investigators, people that were around during the time. So all of these people have the experience to get this done. And I think Atlanta owes the world that, because we can't cover up the fact that, and I'll tell you this, because Mayor Bottoms alluded to this, I've been saying for a very long time. People often ask me, did the murder stop after Wayne Williams was arrested? And my answer is no. Now, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation answer is yes. The people who convicted him, yes. People often ask me, did Wayne Williams do all of these murders? My answer is, I don't know what murders he did, but if he did, I don't think he killed all of these people. And if you ask the investigators, they'll say the same thing. Most everybody will say somebody else was involved in killing these children. Who was that somebody else? And here's going back to my first point. Did the murder stop? So Wayne Williams was convicted of killing people between 1979 and 1981. And on that list is about 30 boys and girls. 2 adults, 30 children. 30. Between 1970 and 1985, get ready for this, there were 135 children murdered. Marinate on that for a minute. The list is 30.
Yeah.
But between 1970 and 1985, during that 15-year span, there were 130 children murdered. On that list of 30, they convicted 2 adults. The child's murders were never investigated. They just lumped them in there. But on that big list of 130 kids being murdered, 30 more of those kids, 35 of those kids, their cases were never solved. They don't know. So that would make the list not 30, that would make the list 60.
Yeah.
Think about that for a minute. 60 children murdered, unsolved, not investigated. That's why what Keisha Lance Bottoms, our mayor, is doing is so vitally important.
Yeah, and I applaud you guys. What you guys are doing is really great, and I definitely hope that you guys are very successful with it in the future. So I'll be watching and I'll be paying attention. But the news did not mention that.
No, they don't.
They didn't.
They don't have enough time. That's why radio is so important.
Yeah. very important. I want to talk about radio. So, talk about, the morning culture. Show started pretty recently. So, what was that transition like? You had some other co-hosts. Now you got some different co-hosts. How do you get comfortable in these environments?
I think for me, I've been doing radio for a really long time, and I started off doing it solo. Mm-hmm. So when I got to a situation of having co-hosts, that was a little bit of a change, but I was able to still stay in my lane and do what I do. Through the years, I've had different co-hosts and different people, and I've been able to really stay in my lane to know what it is that I do. Now with the morning culture, the show is reflective of the way the urban culture in America is changing. So radio used to be king, and it still is king, but the challenges to that throne are way different. So before, when it was just radio and television, radio had, leaps and bounds, was the winner locally, right? Mm-hmm. But now radio competes with online, radio competes with satellite, radio competes with social media. So really, honestly, if here, so you understand, if tomorrow another radio station wanted to ask me about the Atlanta child murders, I would have to jump through hoops to be able to go on a competition's radio station and do the interview, because they're competition.
Yeah.
I'm doing this interview with you,
mm-hmm.
but you're competition.
Oh.
You are. And what happens is, when people realize the power that they have by what you're doing, it opens up so many doors. So you interviewing me is going to be posted online for people to be able to see as many times they want, and they can go to it, including between 6 and 10 a.m. when I'm on the radio. Somebody can say, oh, let me switch that and go over here. That's the way it changes. So what the morning culture has done was be able to bring someone like you, mm-hmm. with your skill set, onto the radio to help bridge that, so that we also have an online presence.
Okay, wow. I didn't realize I was competition.
Yeah.
But
it's a good competition.
Yeah, a good friendly competition.
It's great. I always say to people that, nobody is an island. We all do this together, and I have I've had several interviews with young people such as yourself, and those young people are now like in major newspapers, major publications, major television stations, and they're the boss. And they're the boss. No, they're the boss. And I've gone to them and say, hey, can you can you give me a job?
Yeah.
So if I ever come to you and ask for a job, all right, thank you.
Absolutely. So in closing, kind of give me a day in the life of Mr. Frank Ski. What time do you have to get up for the morning culture?
Yeah.
And then what do you do after the radio?
Well, let's take for instance today.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I got to start with last night. So last night I was at a cigar lounge hosting an event,
mm-hmm.
and I stayed there till about 10:30. And by the time I get home, I do the home thing and the daddy thing and the husband thing, and take out the trash and do all that kind of stuff, right? And I basically get to bed at about 11:30. All right, and then I'm up at 4:30. So, we're running on 5 hours of sleep. So 4:30 I'm up, we get to work, the show starts at 6 a.m. and it goes till 10. From 10 o'clock, I've got production with the crew, mm-hmm. and office work. So today I've skipped my office work to sit down with you. Now it's 11 o'clock, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I still got some office work to do. I still got to squeeze in eating lunch, because we do the morning show, so we don't eat breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time 12 noon comes, we're starving.
Hungry.
And then I have some things to do with the wife, because I'm still a husband, mm-hmm. and some things I got to get done with my sons. So hopefully my day will wind down
Yeah.
sometime around 5 or 6 o'clock today. And then it's time to, still be dad and husband and get some dinner. And lucky I don't have an event tonight and I can get a little bit of rest or prep for tomorrow. And that's what this whole thing is all about. It's really a 24-hour day every day. It never ends. And people who think that they can do this job and it's like they'll turn off at a certain time, they're never really successful. I've seen a lot of people who are really good at what they do. And I've had people who were employees that worked for us. And I tell them every time, this is a 24-hour day job. So at any time, 10 o'clock at night, I see something, we have a text thread, where everybody on my show, including my program director, is on that thread, including the people that work the video cameras, they're on the thread. And I'll say, boom, 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 did you see this? And all night, people are putting on that thread. So by the time we come in, and then you got to watch the news at night, right? So you got to watch the news, you got to be up on things, you got to see things. So by the time we come in the morning, we better know everything about everything. We got to know what's happening. So that's why people listen, because they don't want to miss anything.
Got you. All right. Well, my producer give me the wrap up thing, but I do have to ask you. Father's Day is coming up next month.
Yeah.
You did mention, about your, life being as a father and stuff. So talk about your kids. How is it fathering children? You had some children to graduate. You just had a child.
Yeah.
Talk about, being a father. Why is that important, and some advice for fathers out there?
Being a father is probably one of the most probably the best thing in my life is being a father. The funny thing is, as a parent, I never thought I would see the day, but I have boys, and they're all different, but each one of them I see myself in, right? So they're all different, but each one of them has an interest or a thing that they do that was me, right? Mm-hmm. And I've always tried to give my kids the world, not give it to them, but expose them to it. And the best advice I would give to parents is you have to make a conscious effort to make sure that your kids are better than you. So a lot of parents make a conscious effort to make sure their kids have things better than they did.
Yeah,
material things. No, but how are you going to make your kid better than you?
Yeah.
When you grow up, you realize the way you do things and your character, a lot of that was developed by your parents and even people around you. So parents know that your responsibility is to surround their kids with positive influences and things that they will take away with. And I'll share this one thing with you. Mm-hmm. So my son Harrison, I used to always do these trips when I was on the air with my co-host then, Wanda. We would do international trips around the world. And very early on, I decided that I would take my wife and my kids on this trip. Every now and then, other parents would bring their kids on the trips. Like we do Africa, they bring their kids or whatever. So we did this trip to China, and we were going to Beijing to do the Great Wall and climb up the Great Wall.
Yeah.
My kids at the time were 7 years old. The twins were 7, Franklin was 8, and we're going to China. And there were people on the trip that said, why are you bringing your kids? Mm-hmm. They're too young. This is a lot for them, this travel. And I'd say, my kids been traveling since they were, infants in baby seats. So what? And they say, you're too young. Watch this. My son Harrison falls in love with China at 7 years old. Comes back. Everything in his life it's got to be about Chinese. Watches Chinese karate movies with subtitles because he wants to hear the language. China, he gets into high school and wins the Emory University Chinese speech competition twice. Now he is fluent Chinese. But he took him. Got to expose your kids, man.
You really do.
Yeah.
Expose me.
There it is.
Yeah, wow. Well, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
sitting
it.
down with me. It was a pleasure to be able to sit down. Can you go ahead and tell everybody your social media?
Yep.
Let everybody know where, what station they can watch you guys on.
Absolutely.
The radio.
So all my social media is at Frankski, Frankski, and you can catch me each and every morning here on the People Station V-103 in Atlanta. We stream, we do everything. Our social media for the show is The Morning Culture V-103. All right. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Hey everybody, it's your favorite news anchor Tyrik Wynn from TW News, and this summer in 2019, TW News is relaunching its newscast. We got breaking news, we got politics, we even got local news. All of that news piled up into one newscast. TW News, we are right in the middle of the action.
You know, you better watch Tyrik on the move. I do. And listen, when he says he's on the move, well, you're going big places, you know. TV next, I think. We're working that out. So we're both trying to realize our dreams. So support is the name of the game.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. I really am proud of you.
What's up, everybody? I'm Tyrik Wynn, the host of Tyrik on the Move, and as some of you know, I've been doing this show for almost 3 years now on YouTube and other social media platforms, but now I am looking to move to television. Yes, I said it, television. So now I am calling all television networks out there to seek this show. If you guys are seeking new content in the season, please check out our show, Tyrik on the Move. Just go to my YouTube channel and check out the Tyrik on the Move reel to see what we're all about. Man, I had such an amazing time out there at V-103, and being able to sit down with the one and only Frank Ski, that was such an awesome time of mine and was such a blessing. And I just want to personally thank you, Mr. Frank, for sitting down with me. It was a blessing to be able to sit down with you, and you did a great job during your interview and gave some very powerful information.
Oh, Tyrik, that interview was awesome with Mr. Frank Ski.
Thank you. Thank you.
I didn't want to leave.
Me neither.
We hung out. We had a great time. Thank you so much, Mr. Frank Ski, for pouring into my son show. It was awesome. We had a great time, and it was fun.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you guys look like you guys enjoyed yourself, and that's what's important. Now, Tyrik, question.
Yeah.
It's your time, right?
Yeah.
And what's your time for?
Encouraging words.
Absolutely.
Of course, yeah. So I got your encouraging words for today. So your encouraging words comes out of James 2:17, and it goes as follows. It says, "So to faith by itself, it is not completed by action, is dead." Or as some of you all know it, faith without works is dead. So maybe you're saying, hey, I want to get to $1 million by next year. Well, if you're not working to that goal, if you're not doing things to get to that goal, then you're not going to get there, because faith without works is dead. Maybe you want that car. You're looking to get that Mercedes-Benz, that Bentley, that Rolls-Royce. Well, if you're not pouring in, if you're not doing the work, then you can't get there. I mean, because you can pray all day, but you can have that faith, but if you're not putting your effort into it, then you can't get to that goal. So that's why faith without works is dead. And that is your encouraging words. Now it's time for another one of my favorite segments, Tyrik's Money Tips. And this segment is sponsored by my book, Green is the Thing, Money Management for Kids, which I wrote with my mom. Now today's money tips comes out of the book, and it talks about marketing and investment. And this show is a perfect way for you to do that, because you have to spend money to get money. It may sound a little funny here and there, but it's just one of those things that you have to do. So here at Tyrik on the Move, something we just started, you all have the opportunity to come and advertise on the show. So you can get a commercial spot, you can sponsor a segment, you can have product placement on the table. There are so many things you can do. I mean, the possibilities are endless. So if you all have questions about advertisement, send an email to winproductionsllc@gmail.com to inquire about getting a commercial shot, product placement, or even sponsoring a segment. And those are your money tips. Now, we asked you guys to do something very special, something we don't normally do on the show. We asked you all to send in pictures of you and your dad.
Did you do it?
Yeah, I did. I did do it, and I hope we made the cut. Even though I make the decisions around here.
You do?
Yeah. Yeah. So
What picture you sent?
I
I hope it was one when I was taller than you.
Yeah, that was like 8 years ago. And
Oh, we gonna do that?
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I definitely wanted to make sure that I sent in a pic. Oh, what are you doing? You still not taller
On my tiptoe.
Yeah, no. But yeah,
I tried.
Yeah, yeah, you tried. But yeah, you always said 8th grade I would always be taller than you after that, and yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now I'm taller than you. But yeah, so let's take a look at these pictures that you all sent in. So let's go ahead and get started.
So we had tons of people submit photos of them and their dad, and we chose the best ones to go in today's show. Once again, thank you all so much for your submissions, and we're going to go ahead and honor those dads.
First of all, we have James Muhammad and his son Caden Muhammad.
Then next we have Little Roderick and Nicole with their dad, Roderick Benson.
Right here we have John Yates, his son Gabriel, his son Isaiah, and his son Andre.
Oh, man, no. Oh,
Man.
come on,
Hey,
man.
Big Eric, man. Big E. Hey, man, we appreciate you turning your head around. But look, E, hey, what's up with that, man? Well, we got Eric and his son Eric Green.
With them Skins. You know,
Man.
yeah, you know the Skins come to Atlanta first preseason game.
Yeah, and they almost didn't make this cut.
Yeah, they really didn't.
So you think they're going to make the cut?
Doubt it.
Hey, man, thank y'all so much for submitting y'all photos.
Yeah.
Great picture.
Great father-son duo. Next, we have Tilik Wynn and his two sons, Kari and Darius Wynn. And if, yes, you recognize the name, yeah, they are related to us.
Hey, Darius, Car, what's up, brothers? Great photo.
Yep. Yeah!
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. We represent them dirty birds.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. That's right. Son, you looking good in that picture, too.
I appreciate it. Hey, you looking good, too.
Okay.
All right.
Man, that's awesome, man. We had a great show this week.
Yeah, I know. Thank you all so much for your dad submissions, and we'll be having more submission opportunities later on in the future, so you all definitely stay tuned in for that.
Well, thank you all so much for watching Tyrik on the Move. I really appreciate it. And as you guys know, I am still standing here with the one and only Tilik Wynn, who happens to be my dad. And I personally just want to thank you so much for being such a great dad, and dad of Wynn Productions, dad of Tyrik on the Move too, a dad of many dads, as I like to call it. Oh my gosh, we're not doing it. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so on behalf of Tyrik on the Move and Wynn Productions, we'd like to go ahead and present you with an amazing dad gift. We think you'll love it. It comes from earlier. We went out to Michael Kors. And so we got something. Yeah, so we got something in the Michael Kors men's department. And it's
Can I look at it now? I know that.
Huh?
Can I look at it now?
I mean, yeah, but of course you don't want everybody to see what you
Where
get.
can I peek at it?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, my man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, son.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Sure, go
Me
ahead.
again.
Yeah.
Hey, when he was a young man, I taught him about not bringing me no cheap gifts, not drawing me pictures. Hey, hey, for those ones out there, hey, each his own, but he want me to spend nice, expensive things on him, and I want the same.
Yeah, I mean,
So we have fun. So, hey, this is growing up right here.
Yeah, so we got some amazing things in here, and we're going to have you looking good. And
Okay.
yeah, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, so we just want to thank you so much. I mean, I just want to thank you so much for being a great dad and, filming me. Those of you who don't know, Dad is actually my... Stop picking at the gift. Those of you who don't know, Dad actually is my cameraman, so he's actually usually standing behind the camera, and he's not in the scenes or anything. But this time, I made him come in front of the camera with me, and we had a pretty great show. And thank you all so much for watching Tyrik on the Move. And Dad, do you have any last words?
Hey, son, I'm so proud of you. Keep up the good work. You consistent. You work hard. I mean, you put in the work, and it shows. It shows. Just keep making people proud. You're making the family proud. It's hard work, but hard work, dedication, it pays off. It pays off, and this is what it's about. You know, it's about giving back, and you know, you changing people's lives, man. You know, you at the time you may not know it, may not be aware of it, but you helping somebody, and that's what's important.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate those words. My knees got a little bit. Yeah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching Tyrik on the Move. This was an amazing episode. Thank you, Dad, for coming on the show. We had a lot of fun, as you can tell. We joked around a lot. Just that father-son relationship. Make sure you all develop that father-son relationship, that father-daughter relationship, and it will prosper. And thank you all once again so much for watching Tyrik on the Move, and we'll see you next week.
Oh, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Here we go again. Well, when we went to that last event, they thought I was your brother.
See, why do we have to bring this up?
I don't know, but I'm just asking.
See, okay, so look, this is the thing. I don't know why, but everybody thinks that this this guy in his 40s happens to be my brother.
Why are you hating on me?
I'm not hating. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Everybody seems to think that you are my brother. Everybody. Oh, hey, is this your brother? No, this is my dad. I'm almost 19 years old, and this guy is in his upper 40s.
Upper?
Yeah. Upper.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Finish up. I'm gonna stop cutting you off. Okay.
No, you good.
We having fun.
Yeah, we having fun developing such a great relationship. Make sure you all go follow me on Instagram at Tilik Wynn _radio and TV. Don't forget to go like my Facebook page at facebook.com/Tilik Wynn fan page. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Tilik Wynn author. Also, don't forget to follow the show as well. The show's Twitter page is Tyrik on the Move TV. And don't forget to go like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Tirik on the Move. So once again, thank you all so much for watching Tyrik on the Move, and we'll see you next week.